Yes, I'm standing up for this one, so I have like an action pose. I'm like ready to go. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I'm pretty excited about this one because I think it's needed. Really today is it is a little bit of a reaction video. I try really hard to stay away from other like witchcraft on YouTube videos because I really don't want this channel to turn into a reaction conversation to all of that's there. I really want it to be more about like what I want to talk about and what my experience has been and how I can offer a little bit more inclusive knowledge to you, watcher, no matter where you are in your witchcraft journey. So today though, I want to talk about specifically witchcraft kind of resonates with you. You've heard the words, you know that it kind of feels right to you and you're very curious. What are the next steps for you? So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 steps to move forward with that are inclusive, that don't require purchasing anything, and don't require sage, may I say. That's one thing that I will I feel like every other YouTuber has like shot where they're holding like sage, a pendulum, and some like tarot cards and stuff, and that just like, Anyways, one of the main things that I want to reiterate with this video is that witchcraft, once again, is not stuff oriented. All of the stuff of witchcraft is really fantastic and like they're really great tools for you to use. Tools, specifically tools. They are not the practice of witchcraft themselves. It is the connection to those tools that is the witchcraft. I feel like so often, you know, you think of witchcraft and you just get like sage, candles, pendulum, tarot cards, I don't know, name anything, robes and shit. Like, I think all of that's fantastic and I'm all about it. I literally have an altar right here. I have stuff on my desk right in front of me. I have an altar over there. Like, I'm not anti-stuff. So many kind of like welcome to witchcraft videos orient around the stuff, and it's because that's the easiest thing to be like, here, take this. Like, that's where you can start your witchcraft practice. I really don't fault people to going to that level first. However, there is an element of privilege that comes with that. Or like, isn't it kind of weird that like in order for you to start a spiritual practice, you need to buy something? I'm not faulting the experience of anybody. I think all of us get here in different ways, but I feel like some of the ways we get here can be a little problematic, which is why I'm doing this video. So here are 3 recommendations of ways to get started with witchcraft that don't involve stuff. So first one, start by creating a connection practice that you can do daily or weekly or some kind of even regular schedule. What I mean by connection practice is more or less what the essence of witchcraft is. It's about connecting to the earth, it's about connecting to yourself, about connecting to powers outside of yourself. So what that could mean is you do a meditation practice every single day. That meditation practice could be the kind where you sit and you are incredibly mindful, or it could be the kind where you count. You count up to 4, count down. Like, it could be that style too. There's a reason why I said a connection practice as opposed to a meditation practice, because like for some people that doesn't work. Going on a walk every single day is one that I utilize very frequently. It could be the fact that you sit at your altar and you watch a candle flame. And when you watch that candle flame, you think about like, okay, how do I feel today? How do I want to feel today? Who do I want to speak to today? How do I want to personify, or how do I want to embody myself today? How can I honor who's in here as opposed to like what other people put upon me? That could be a really good practice. You could talk to your ancestors. You could cook. I mean, anything. Anything that is a connective process that touches you into the quietness and like the whispers of your soul, the things that are inward. Because really at the end of the day, that's what witchcraft is. It's giving you language to connect to yourself and to connect to source, whatever that may mean for you. So cultivating a connection practice every day, weekly, honestly monthly could work too, can help you root down into a practice and give you language that you need to go forward. I will also say, of course, you're welcome to use the language of a lot of witchcraft practices. So you could do circle calls, do a circle call every day. Or you can go into the more like hermetic path and do a lesser banishing ritual. That's another language that you could use. You could do practices if they call to you, like an egg cleansing, or you could do a bath. All of these are languages that you will investigate as you go through your witchcraft practice, or as you connect to parts of like your own history or your family's history, which I'll go into in a second. But all of these are languages that you can use in your daily connection practice. So that way you can connect to yourself, connect to source, connect to your practice, to your tradition, to your ancestors, to whomever. Really what it is at the end of the day is just about connection. Second thing, read everything. Everything on the planet. Read everything that you possibly can. Listen to every podcast. Kind of jump in. To me, witchcraft is a very research and knowledge-based practice, especially because there are a ton of traditions, there's a ton of history, there's a ton of oppression, there's a ton of like privilege in here too. Like if you identify as a witch, you're kind of swimming in this context that is very rich, very storied, very challenging on many, many different levels. The main thing that I recommend for which is just getting started is to read everything you possibly can. However, one thing that I want to say, actually two things that I want to say. First one is that I don't exclusively mean every single new book on the market. At all. I think that is a ton of money, and actually every time I go on my Instagram and I see people with like stacks of like brand new books from the witchcraft world, it just stresses me out because I'm like, that's like $200 worth of books that's just like sitting there. I've gotten so much knowledge from old thrift store pagan books. Now, the second thing that I want to say is the caveat to this read and listen to everything that you possibly can is you must do so critically. This is probably like the one thing I want to say to new witches. Just because you read it in a book does not mean it's true. If it does not feel true to you, like don't participate in it. Especially because there are very, 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 very few primary sources in the witchcraft world. Even the books that everyone recommends, like Silver Ravenwolf, Scott Cunningham, etc., honestly, none of those are primary sources. I mean, they're primary sources in that like, it's that person's experience, but that's a subjective thing. Even things that are considered primary sources, like the Havamal, for example, in the Nordic path, that is still something that was taken from an oral tradition and written down. So that means that there was subjectivity inserted by the person who wrote it down. There's subjectivity also included in the translation of it. Because there's no like primary sources, right? Every single thing that you read should be taken with a grain of salt. I'm not saying this so that you go in and just like berate every single book you read, but I think when you go in and you read as much as you can about witchcraft, you're gonna see the places where there's holes, or you're gonna see the places where something doesn't feel right. Mostly that's what I want to articulate, is that just because it's in a book doesn't mean it's right and true. Doesn't mean you have to participate in it. I experience this frequently with anything that genders God and goddess worship or requires that there's a duality there. I operate on a very like spectrum level of gender and queerness and identity, right? So like, why listen to a book that makes this really kind of transphobic dichotomy between like, this is a woman, this is a man? It just feels really uncomfortable to me. So like, why would I listen to that in a book? Does that mean I don't read those books? No, because I can hold that critically and I can hold multiple thoughts at the same time. One of the biggest things that's implicit in this suggestion is read things you don't agree with either, because you are also going to find you will learn more about your belief system by hearing what you don't believe in. That is a huge thing in witchcraft. This isn't just something where you read it, you process it, you take it in, and you practice it. It really is about having your witchcraft practice reflect outwards how you feel inside. So find how that challenges you. Find books that challenge you in that way. Find books that really kind of not necessarily trigger you, but like put you in a place where you're like, that's actually not how I feel. Because inversely, that's gonna teach you exactly how you feel. So we also have to think incredibly critically about all of the books that we read, especially if we're going back to older books and even current books too. There is so much gendering, racism, implicit racism, not implicit racism, ableism. There's tons of these attributes in these textbooks. So there's so many books that I honestly like don't even want to recommend to people because there's like a paragraph that's just like disgusting, that just doesn't operate where we are now and where we should be. So really, read everything and listen to every podcast possible, because it is really by investigating all possibilities for yourself, or all the things that feel interesting or sound interesting, or being confronted with the things that don't feel right, is how we're actually going to learn our authentic path from a place of centeredness and knowing. Third thing, follow your lines of interest. Is there a pantheon that you've been fascinated with all of your life? Is there a god or goddess specifically? Is there a landscape that connects to you? Because that's honestly how I got super connected to the Nordic path, is that feels like home to me. Are you like me and you've had an animal follow you all of your life? Like my name, I go by Raven. Crows follow me everywhere, everywhere, and they have since I was really, really young. Do you have a circumstance like that? Or are you just like really stoked about a certain like lineage? Let yourself fall down the rabbit hole of what interests you. I start there because very frequently that'll kind of keep us going, especially if we're really passionate about it too. If you follow those lines of interest or you follow those points of connection, you might find that it's a really great rabbit hole to go down to like even just start your practice. Just because you're reading about it or investigating it or trying it doesn't make you a practitioner 100%. Huge caveat, like you are not a practitioner just because you've read one book on hoodoo, right? No, that's not how that works. But really about being curious opens your eyes to a bunch of different types of practices. It might not be the thing that you end up doing, but it's something that's really lovely to know, because all of us are kind of in this title of witch that has had this storied background. And so why not learn, right? Last thing I want to say in terms of following an interest is to look into aspects of your identity that you super connect with. What I mean by this is, do you have a trade? Are you a knitter? Are you like a fiber witch? Are you in the military? Is there some aspect of your identity that you connect with that you could then transfer into deities to investigate, or paths to investigate? So if you're in the military, for example, battle gods and goddesses are probably going to be up your alley, because they are dealing with the things that you are dealing with on a regular basis. Check that out. If you're a fiber witch or someone who likes to weave or knit or something like that, you could go with Arachne, the goddess, or you could go with any of the fates. The fates are actually in, I think, almost every single pantheon. You have the Moirai in Greek, you have the Norn in Nordic. I mean, they're like, everyone has some version of the fates that you might be able to connect with on a real way. Are you a person that is like a super avid gardener? You might want to go Demeter or Persephone or Idun, who grows the apples of immortality for the Norse path. There's so many. I connect most of the time with death goddesses and death gods, whether that be Oya in the Ifa tradition, or Persephone, or I work with Hades, or Odin is that element too. Do you have some part of your identity that you really resonate with that you can kind of latch onto and start there? Those are my 3 tips for the witches just getting started that don't actually require getting any stuff. I really hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know, or if you have a rabbit hole that you're struggling to fall down, let me know, because I love that part of the research. I love to kind of open doors for people about specific goddesses or gods, or any kind of path that'll lead you down that rabbit hole of research. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helped. It is one of my biggest passions to kind of introduce the witchcraft path in a way that is accessible and doesn't require you to put down money, because that's weird. So thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in my work and hearing more from me, make sure you subscribe, and you'll see my videos every Monday and Friday. But until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye!